Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Wittig. I hope you're doing well. So I thought it'd be fun to meet with my friend DeMoss. He's a physical therapist here with Vitality, Therapy, and Performance. He's been helping me with that bum shoulder that's been feeling off, and it's getting a lot better. But I thought it'd be fun to do a little interview to help you guys. Hey, Cord, welcome. Thank you for doing this.
Glad to be here.
So you're a physical therapist. What are your credentials? What's the actual title?
Yeah, so I'm a doctor of physical therapy. I'm also a board certified physical therapist and a certified strength and conditioning specialist.
Wow, a little more impressive than just the physical therapist I called him. So he's actually Dr. Cord.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So when I think of physical therapist, I generally think of maybe like elderly people or people that have had like major surgeries and need to learn how to walk. I know you do a lot more than that. What are some other things that you specialize in?
Yeah, it's one of the common misconceptions as you picture a physical therapist in a hospital or something like that. But here we focus on performance as well. So our therapy doesn't have to be right after surgery, right? We work with a lot of weightlifters, athletes in general, who may have not had surgery but have aches and pains that they want to get checked out. They want to keep lifting and they want to be able to go heavier safely. But they don't want to go through the orthopedic surgery route.
That sounds like me. At 45, I have aches and pains, and I know a lot of you guys do too because I hear about them all the time. So I'm not a football player. I don't really play sports that well. I'm kind of just uncoordinated. I'm not a power lifter, but I do lift weights consistently, very intensely, and I have for many years. So I lift to look better and to feel better. So I'll kind of want to focus this on that type of person, which a lot of my followers do the same thing. What are some of the most common injuries you see from regular weightlifters?
Yeah, and to your point, to us, that is also performance. You know, performance doesn't have to be in a game, on a field, something like that. You perform every day. You perform pretty regularly. You perform hard. And so that's performance for you specifically. And so we like to tailor it to what performance is to that individual. For people like you who train hard, what we see a lot of is aches and pains, not necessarily tears or injuries, but soreness that shouldn't be there from either going heavy that day or maybe too much volume that week or that month. Plays in with nutrition and things like that. So I do see a lot of strains and kind of that random pain that, you know, maybe I'm doing bench and my pecs aren't sore or burning. It's something up in the shoulder, through the elbow, something like that.
Okay, so shoulder, elbow. What are some of the other just kind of loosely common areas from weightlifters?
I see a lot of low back pain, strain, extra soreness, lingering discomfort and tightness, things like that. I do see a lot of shoulder. I see a lot of neck and even headache. A lot of people don't know, many times, especially for weightlifters, headache can be associated with neck and shoulders and the muscles through there. So I see a lot of that. I see a ton of knee pain. When people get really motivated, and that's such a great thing, they can sometimes go a little bit too gung-ho at the start and not ramp up safely and effectively. And they start to get too much wear and tear on the knee right away. And so we kind of help them fix that, but also tailor their program so that their tissue can build up along with them.
Okay, and that actually reminds me then, kind of a side note, do you feel that like with the knees, do wraps, sleeves, do you think they're beneficial? I've read research on them, but I wanted to get your point of view. Does it help protect them?
The research it's kind of gray. In my opinion, it can help protect in certain ways. One way we consider is called proprioception, and all that means is your awareness of your knee. Mm-hmm. And so if you have a sleeve on when you're running or lifting, and it helps you be more aware and feel more stable in your knee, and it helps you control your knee from maybe going in and out too much during a lunge or something heavy, yeah, I absolutely think that can be beneficial. One other way they can be beneficial is during or after a lift. If you are experiencing swelling for some reason, if it's a tight enough compression, it can help keep some of that swelling out. And typically when lifters get pain 4 to 6 hours or later that night, like during their sleep, they get that pain in the knee. A lot of times it's that swelling that's accumulating in there. And so those compression sleeves can help kind of flush some of that out or prevent it from settling there in the first place.
Okay, I've done that, had my knee not feeling right and put it on at night, and
Yeah.
seems to help. So you're saying a little bit of it's maybe in the mind, more being aware of than actual physically helping.
Yeah, and so what we do is if someone comes in and they say, hey, I wear this knee sleeve because every time I lift without it, I have knee pain, right? We want to look at the knee and make sure structurally it's safe, but I also want to look at how they actually do that movement. And it may be, hey, your hips don't control your knees from caving in and out, or something similar. Maybe it's flat feet and your shoes cave in so your knees go. So I'm going to look at, yeah, you have the knee pain, but we also want to figure out why you keep getting the knee pain. Where mechanically can we make an adjustment? So you don't have to go get knee surgery. You just make some adjustments, go back to the gym, and you're like, man, that feels great.
So you're saying that somebody that maybe experiences pain in their knees, lower back, or hips from squatting or lunging or some kind of leg movement, if it just seems chronic, that it may be beneficial for them to see a physical therapist to see if there's something mechanically that can be fixed that can maybe eliminate that pain.
Absolutely. A lot of the time it is form and technique. I'd say second to that would maybe be volume. But a lot of the time it's, hey, you lift really well, when you're doing your warm-ups, maybe 135 on a deadlift, something crazy light for you. Your form is perfect, and you're really focused on it. But then when you get your mind ready to lift heavy for that day, you may not be as paying close attention to your form. You may be not dropping your hips low enough. You may be rising from your hips first and then your shoulders, or vice versa. Stuff like that you may not think about. And we can kind of break down that movement and make a few critiques and adjustments like that.
There you go. So you mentioned the volume. So how would the casual lifter that's not a professional trainer, that they know a lot because maybe they're following guys on YouTube or reading magazines or books, but they don't really know. So how would you advise somebody to control their volume? How would they know that if it's too much, or, how would they know that?
In the weightlifting industry, most people are familiar with that kind of 2-day DOMS, right? That 2-day soreness that's pretty spread out over the areas you lifted. Volume comes in when you're like, yeah, my deltoids and my pecs are sore, but man, right here it's burning, it's pinchy. Every time I put my jacket on or something like that, where it's that one thing that really stands out more than just, man, that was a great workout and I'm sore. And that lingers, and oftentimes it'll feel better by the time you work that body part again, if you're on kind of a decent split with enough rest in between. And so you'll go back into the gym that day and you'll feel pretty good, and you may get 8 to 10 reps into your first set and be like, man, that's back a little bit, and that shouldn't be there. I wonder what that is. And a lot of times that's volume, and it can be other things as well. But.
Okay, so at that point they should maybe take a deload, and then reduce the overall amount of sets they're doing in a week for that muscle group moving forward.
Yeah, and that's where you want to take a multifactorial approach to it. You want to decrease the volume for that week or two, and so that you can build up the tissue. But that's another great time to think, okay, I have pain in this shoulder, not this one, or maybe I have pain in both shoulders when I'm doing, a chest exercise. Let me deload a little bit, back off on the volume a little bit, and really make sure that I'm strict and my form is perfect. And then I'll kind of micro load those progressions back up to that weight to make sure I don't, again, like I said earlier, have form breakdown going from your warm up to your actually loaded set. So.
Awesome, good advice there, guys. So let's say that I'm lifting, right now I've been experiencing a shoulder issue already, but let's say somebody's lifting, shoulder don't feel quite right, we're doing some overhead presses, and this can relate to any joint in your body, but let's talk about shoulders right now. You're 10 reps in and you feel something not right. I know myself and a lot of you guys, we're gonna finish that set. Hey, it hurts a little bit, but I can fight through a couple more reps, and then I still may wanna try to do my last set. What do you advise when you're feeling a little, it's not the muscle burn, it's something does feel off, maybe it's not excruciating. Should we finish that set and get our gains, or should we back off? What do you advise?
So typically I advise you go ahead and finish, you don't finish the set, you call it quits on that set, okay? And then you wanna assess, as soon as I'm done, does it keep burning, or was it just when I was lifting, okay? If it's just when you were lifting, give it a minute, 60 to 90 seconds or so. Get back into your position. Make sure your form is absolutely correct, because maybe that set your form was, you weren't focused on, it wasn't great, but set number 2 or the next set, your form is now back to perfect and you can start going again.
Okay.
And if you start going again, you're like, yeah, it feels great. I fixed my form, it's not there. Then go ahead and finish out the workout, right? But if you get into that second set and you're like, there it is again, something is inflamed and irritated, and you want to give it enough rest so that it can heal. Tweaks happen all the time.
So should the person not just stop that exercise? Should they stop working the muscle group in question for the rest of the day?
Yeah, my general recommendation for my clients in here is don't make it hurt for the rest of that workout and the rest of that day. So if you go from bench to overhead or something like that, and you're like, it's still there on a different movement, either call it quits for the day or finish with some cardio and, core work or something to where you're not irritating that even further, because it's already inflamed. And the more irritation you get in there, the more damage it's going to do.
Perfect. So let's say now, hours later, it's the evening, whatever that joint is, that muscle group is still not feeling right. Doesn't seem too concerning. We don't feel it's a tear or like catastrophic damage, but it still doesn't feel right. What should a person look to do on their own to start? Should we ice it, heat it, wrap it, take a pill, do nothing? What's the general protocol for this? Is something that don't feel right, but we're not too concerned?
Yeah, good question. The icing and injury kind of rice method that's super popular has been, in my opinion, a little bit overblown. However, that day and the next day or two, it's perfectly okay to ice it. In fact, that's when the ice is most beneficial.
Okay.
Then what you're going to want to do is you're going to ice it for the pain and the inflammation, right? So if it's really bothering you, throw an ice pack on there. Typically what you want with the ice pack, and this is where I see a lot of mistakes, is you want the coldest ice pack you can get with the thinnest layer between it and your skin.
Okay.
Right? So you don't want it directly on the skin. That's not advised at all, right? But you want it so cold when it touches your skin that it's kind of hard to leave it there. It's like, man, that's cold.
Okay.
I see a lot of people do an ice pack in a pillowcase with a towel over a hoodie. It's like, we're not really getting deep enough with the cold.
Okay.
So, to finish your question, then later on, you want
2 days on the ice.
Yeah, about 2 days.
You don't need more than 48 hours. It's not beneficial?
Not typically. It's kind of gray, but most benefits are going to come in that first 24 to 48 hours. After that, what you want to do is you want to start rehabbing that area. I always advise if it's significant enough, check with a good PT in your area. But at home, what you can start with is you want to start working the soft tissue a little bit. You want to get some blood flow in there to promote healing. I always have people warm it up somehow that's pain-free, like a hot bath, hot shower, heating pack, light jog, something that doesn't bother that area but gets your blood flow going, gets your core body temperature up. And then I have them do some soft tissue work. I have a lot of people use a lacrosse ball on that area. Yeah, just moving it. Have somebody work on it, deep tissue kind of work that's not painful, but you can feel if you're doing some work in there. And then very light exercise. Let's take the example of, let's say, a lateral raise, right? Like that's pretty irritating for somebody. You don't want to go heavy right away. What you want to do is you want to work the muscle through the movement with a light enough weight that you're like, this feels kind of like it's working, but really I'm just getting that muscle to engage.
Okay, so that's a good thing that I think a lot of people don't know. Something's kind of sore, you're icing it, you're doing the soft tissue. A lot of people think it hurts, I shouldn't move it at all. They're just gonna not do nothing. They think that's gonna be better. But it's actually, we want to do some light movement to start getting range of motion back.
Absolutely. The only time you really want to not move something is right after a pretty significant injury where moving it might cause more damage, right?
Okay.
But soreness, stiffness, things like that, you want to get moving. Even if it's not isolated to that joint, get out and walk, run, jog, do a core workout, something to get the blood flow going. And that's how you stimulate healing in general. And then yes, I do like to isolate that movement and that joint with just some basic moderate exercise to stimulate those muscle fibers to encourage growth.
Okay, and then last question.
Mm-hmm.
We do all that, a day or two later, whatever joint that someone's hurting, it could be their knee, their back, just whatever, they're icing it, they're doing some range of motion, it's not getting better. At what point should they say, okay, I can deal with this on my own, or no, I need to call a physical therapist to look at this?
Yeah, good question. And something I always stress to my clients is, in most states, here in Oklahoma for sure, but in most states, if not every state now, you do not need a physician's referral to go see your local physical therapist. You can walk right in, you can have them assess what's going on, so you don't have to go through the chain of primary care, then getting referred to an orthopedist, them usually telling you to take a week or two off, which I don't always advise either for those same reasons, and then you get referred to a physical therapist. Now you're a month out and you haven't been able to train consistently for that whole month. So what I tell people is, if for multiple sessions in a row you have discomfort with a lift that shouldn't be there and you can't figure out why, that's when I say, come see me. We'll take a look at the movement. We'll also take a look at the accessory muscles that support that lift. Maybe they're not engaging correctly. Maybe it's not just your mechanics, and that's what I typically tell people.
Right on. Well, if you're from the Tulsa area, you can find Core to Vitality, Therapy, and Performance here on Sheridan. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I'll have more for you guys soon. Thank you guys.